Hi, welcome to Allbrands After Hours with me, Courtney Douthat. Welcome to the show where we hang out and craft together. Today we'll be going over 5 mistakes to avoid with your Brother ScanNCut. Let's do it. Mistake number 1, let's just jump into it, is making sure that you're buying the right mats and the right blades for your machine. Wait, there are wrong blades? There's wrong mats? Yes, there are. So the easiest way to tell them apart in your head is there is the CM models, so the CM 550, 650, the CM models, and then there's the SDX models. So, well, I guess I should do that backward because this is an SDX. But so SDX and CMs, both great machines, both ScanNCuts, both can cut, do all the great things. However, the SDX are the newer models. So those have auto blade, which is the blade like this. So there's no numbers. The CM model, their blades had numbers because you used to have to adjust the blade setting to make the blade come out, and then you had to put a pressure setting inside of your machine to make them work. So the auto blade, the SDX, no longer has to do that. It's an auto blade. It automatically sense how deep that material is and only cut through that material. So the blades don't interchange with each other. So you couldn't take an auto blade and put it on the CM model because the machine reads these blades, and that's only available or only able to be done on an SDX model. The CMs can't do that, and vice versa. You couldn't take all your CM blades that you had from your machine and put them on an SDX. They're not going to work. So the easiest way to tell those apart is if you're buying them online or in the store, if you look, there's going to be a SKU number, and the SKU number for the SDX will have DX in it. So if you see DX in that SKU number, you know it's for an SDX machine. If you don't see DX in that SKU number, then you know it's for a CM, so without auto blade, and vice versa. So I like how our website's set up, where if you go onto the page on allbrands.com, we have every machine on there, and listed underneath that machine under recommended accessories are only the blades and mats that work for your machine, for that particular machine. So that way you're not accidentally buying the wrong one. So, and usually we'll have on there what machines that it works with, because I know it gets confusing. There's so many different ones. Now, I know I said blades and mats. Mats, the same thing. So, on the SDX mats, you'll notice these little things right here, up here and down there. That is what your machine is reading to be able to work in conjunction with your blades on your machine to be able to cut. So the CM models don't have this on there, so it can't read them. Also, the CM models have an arrow pointing this way and an arrow pointing down at the bottom, because they can be loaded either way, where a DX cannot. A DX can only load one way because they put a little hole right here so you can hang it. I would have preferred it being able to load both ways, but that's something that they did. So you can only load one way with an SDX mat. Now, the mats, again, won't interchange with each other. So you can't take, if you had a ton of mats and then you get a new SDX machine, you can't take those over to the machine. I've tried. I've had so many, so I have tried. But there's no switching them back and forth. And I would be worried trying to rig it in any kind of way to mess up my machine. So the same thing works as the blades, works with the mats. So look for that DX if it's a SDX model, and then it shouldn't have a DX if it's a CM model. So that is your easiest way to not buy and accidentally spend money on a mat and a blade that doesn't work for your machine and accidentally waste some money. I know it gets confusing with all the different ones. So this is a huge mistake that I try to get people to avoid whenever they ask me, Courtney, what machine should I get? And there's so many different ones. And usually I help them break them down. So yes, they can all cut. Yes, they can all draw, mostly I think. Can all draw, but there are different features. So if there's a certain feature that is important to you, well then you know what machine to get. And if it doesn't have that feature, well then that's not the one for you. Off the top of my head, the SDX 85 can do a 12 by 12 mat, but it cannot do a 12 by 24 mat. So if you're wanting to do a 12 by 24 mat, this big old mat, then the 85 is not going to work for you because she can't do a 12 by 24. She can only do a 12 by 12. So that one would work for you. If you're only going to do a 12 by 12, then cool, great. So let's see, the 330, I'm fully transparent. My favorite ones, and I don't think I've ever said this on a video. My favorite ScanNCuts are the SDX 325 and the SDX 330. Those are the newest ScanNCuts that have come out that have the best scanning ability. So when I scan that in compared to like a 325 compared to a 225, I can see the scanning difference. Like how we did the stickers and the holographics and all that stuff like that. If I had done that on my 225, yes, it could have done it. But does the 325 do it better? Yes. Do I notice the scanning capability on those two machines are really, really good? Yes. So I like those two machines. If you're not going to do a ton of scanning, well then, okay, well, maybe you could get a different model. But these are just my favorite. So another things like if we're talking about the 325 and the 330, is the 325 comes with the fabric blade. And it comes with your black auto blade. So it's going to come with these two blades. The 330 comes with these two blades. So your rotary blade and your black auto blade is going to come with those two. So if I really know that I want this rotary blade, yes, you can purchase it separately in a kit if you want. But also, if I know I'm going to want it, I might as well just buy it with the machine. So the 330 makes more sense for me than the 325. So, and also you get the fabric mat with the 330. And it comes with Disney. So if you want all the Disney designs and Mickey Mouse and all of his friends, then the 330 makes sense for you. If you don't care about the mouse, well, then the 325 is great. So there's different ones. So I always recommend doing your research. Come ask me any questions. I'll be happy to answer. And I answer honestly, because remember, I'm Allbrands. I'm not Brother. I can say what I want. Sorry, Brother. But that's honestly, there's minute differences. Yes, they all cut, but do some of them do it better? Yes. Depends on what you're doing. If you're doing a lot of drawing, well then you're not really worried about the cutting. If you're not scanning in a ton of images, well you don't really care about the scanning features. So again, it's all different machines, all different tiers. It's whatever fits your needs best. Don't feel like you have to get something because someone else has it. Don't feel like you have to get the top of the line if the other ones are going to do you just fine. Again, it's just tiers. So avoid the mistake of getting the wrong machine. I always recommend to go on our website, allbrands.com, because we have every single machine listed with all their features. What do they come with? What do they do? We have comparison charts on there. That way you can kind of narrow it down a little bit easier than kind of going in there blind with all these different machines that are available with all the different things. It gets overwhelming. So I always recommend go on our website, ask me questions. That way you know you're getting the right machine that works for you the first time. So that way you don't get a machine and then be like, oh man, I wish I would have got this other one. So let's pick the correct one the first time. So always recommend that. And of course, you can always purchase the machine from us at allbrands.com. We are family owned and operated since 1976, and we truly appreciate when you guys do purchase with us. And that's another big reason that we started doing these shows and providing free education, is that we want you to go home with your machine and use it. You spent your money on it. Now we're going to use it. We're going to have fun, and we're going to do all these great projects with it. So I always really appreciate when I see you guys in the comments saying your videos are making me want to use my machine more. I've done this and this and this, and that makes my day. That's why we do these videos. So thank you, thank you. All right, next one. All right, so now you have your machine. You have the correct machine. So when we want to do projects, a lot of times a lot of people like to do vinyl projects. That's probably one of the first projects a lot of people do, other than paper. It's vinyl, and vinyl is a lot of fun. I enjoy doing vinyl. But a big mistake that I made when I started out was not knowing to flip my design if I'm doing heat transfer vinyl. Why is that important? Well, vinyl has two parts. So you have this clear part, if you notice it's shiny, and then you have the actual vinyl, this matte side. So when you're cutting heat transfer vinyl, you're going to want to put shiny side down on your mat. I would use my purple standard mat. We would do shiny side down and then that matte side up. And then we're going to do what's called a half cut. A half cut is only going to cut through half of that material. So if we're cutting through this, it's going to cut through half and leave me that shiny side. So that way if I'm doing something like a name or something very detailed, I can weed out the parts I don't want, take that clear part, put it onto whatever, heat it up, protective cloth, heat it up, peel it off, and then my design stays there. Flipping my design is very important, because if I didn't flip my design and I cut it out, well, it's going to be written the wrong way. So I'm actually going to show you how to do this. All right, so I have my designs. We're going to go to Edit, Object Edit, and Flip right there. So I'm flipping only one of them, that way I can show you. So I'm gonna put this one right here, this one right in the corner. Actually, let's put it over here. There we go. And we're gonna hit OK. OK again. OK. Please select, and we're going to cut. Now we're going to remember to put half cut on. Hit the wrench icon, scroll down one, half cut on. Now let's get our mat ready. Again, I'm going to use my purple standard mat. Take my vinyl, shiny side down. Okay. So we've got our vinyl on here, and I'm going to load that into my machine. And we're going to go ahead and hit start. So what that's going to do is it's now going to come down. Stop. Why do I want to stop? Because I don't want to use my black blade. I can if I don't have a vinyl kit, but I have the vinyl kit, so I'm going to throw that one in there. Boop, and start. Put my protective little caps back on here, just protect my fingers. There she goes. She's going to come down, since how deep that material is, and only cut through half of it. Because remember, we told her half cut, so she only wants to cut through half. There she goes. Now, while she's cutting out, of course, I do want to remind you that I will be at Lone Star University August 25th and 26th in San Antonio. I'll pop the information on the screen. I will be there doing a class, as well as a bunch of other really cool teachers. It will be a 2-day event, so you'll take a bunch of different classes and have a lot of fun learning a lot of different things. They've really brought in some cool educators, myself included. That sounded a little conceited, but you know what I mean. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a good time. Let's see. All right, I'm going to take our vinyl off. There we go. Now, I'm going to weed out the parts that I do not want. The sign-up page is live, so I will link it down below. So it's a 2-day event, so if you do sign up, you are guaranteed a class with me because they rotate through different teachers. They've got some amazing classes that they've got ready for you. So the sign-up page will be linked down below. If you are in the San Antonio area or nearby, I highly recommend coming out and seeing us. I would recommend signing up pretty early because I don't know what their max number is, so that makes me very nervous because we're already getting signups and we hadn't really even talked about it yet. So the signups might go quick. So, and there is an early bird special on there, and they have all that on the website. So if you are interested in coming and hanging out with me and a bunch of other really cool teachers, I do recommend coming to Lone Star University. All right, guys, there we go. Now, we've got the one that we flipped and the one that we did not flip. So if you notice, we cut out with the side, with shiny side down. So it cut out our vinyl. So now the one that we flipped is going to be correct, and the one that we didn't flip is going the wrong way. So it is used to, I don't know how many times I've cut out vinyl, a very detailed design, started weeding it and realized, oh no, I forgot to flip, and there's no fixing that. Because if it's non-directional, it doesn't matter. Say it's this heart. Well, the heart doesn't matter because the heart's only going one direction, unless you really care that the little thing inside the heart's going a different direction. But letters, it's a name. There's no getting around that. The name is the wrong way. So again, don't forget to flip your design if you're doing heat transfer vinyl. If you're using it for pressure sensitive vinyl, you're good. Paper side goes down on your low tack blue mat and vinyl side up. You don't have to flip a design if it is pressure sensitive, but if it's heat transfer vinyl, flip your design. All right, the next one I want to go over is grouping. Grouping. When you bring a design in, the designs on the machine are already grouped. So say we brought in a name and we wrote the name out. Well, that's going to be grouped together. But what if we brought a design in through our USB, or we scanned in something? It's not grouped. So when it's scanned in, it's in 1,000 little bitty pieces. Not 1,000, but you know what I mean. A bunch of little pieces. So if I was to try to move it or resize it, it's only going to resize or move that one little piece, not everything. So let's go here to retrieve data from our USB. So let's say I came and I went down, come down, let's see. Now a lot of these I made in Canvas, which is great because that means that it's going to be a design that's grouped. Now let's say we bring this one. This is just an SVG that I got offline. Well, if I move it, all the pieces can move on their own. Now this happened to be grouped, so whoever made that I bought from Etsy did a great job by grouping that part because they assumed I would want this all to be one solid color. So that's awesome. But the other parts are not grouped. So again, I can move all this, and that's not good. I don't want to be able to move all that. I wanted it to be a solid piece. So let's go home, and let's go back and get that same design now. There we go. Hit OK. And before we touch it or do anything, I want to come to Edit. And I want to come to these boxes right here. This is your selection tool. I want to select everything that's on that screen. Hit OK. Object Edit. And then I want to come here and wheel them all together. So now they've been grouped. They're all together as one. So when I move these, they're going to move together as one instead of individual little pieces. Now again, anything that you bring on from the machine is going to be grouped already, but anything that you bring in on your own is not going to be grouped. So you need to make sure that you've grouped it and welded it together before you move it. Because if I would have wanted to resize or add multiple or do anything, it would have done it for just an individual piece. Now, if I come here to resize, it's going to resize it all together for me. Or decrease it altogether, like breathing. Now, you can, of course, do it that way, which is how the machine automatically wants to do. But if you do select right here with the arrows with the little line going through them, you can lock one of those. So if I just wanted to up it by the height and not the width, I can. If I want to lower it by the width or the height, now I can. And it's not going to affect the other one if that is locked. If I unlock it, it goes all together again. That is something I had to learn the hard way when I brought something in and I went to move it and then a little piece and then everything was out of line and it was straight chaos. So when you buy your machine, the blades are already in the holder. Courtney, I thought this was the blade. No, this is called the holder. What is just this outside part. But inside, if you actually unscrew, so inside of there when you unscrew it, you'll see all the little innards and you see the blade. Now, when the blade gets dull, and you'll realize it's dull when you're not getting as crisp of a cut. It depends, again, I always get the question, Courtney, how often should I change my blades? And you shouldn't be changing them very often. It really depends on what material you're going through and how often you're using it. If you're going through something like thin balsam wood and acrylic, then yeah, you're going to change it more often than someone who's just doing cardstock and a little bit of fabric, just, plain cotton fabric. You're going to change it more often. So again, it depends on what you're doing, what you're using this for. Now, the holder and the blade come together when you buy your machine. Now, when you need to replace that, they do come separate. So when you buy a new holder, there will not be a blade in there. When you buy a blade separately, there will be no holder. But if your holder's okay and there's no damage to your holder, then just buy your blade. You don't need to buy a brand new holder. And I think a lot of people, they'll go online and they'll buy the holder thinking that there's a blade in there and there's not. And then when you get it open at home, you're like, oh no, wait a second, I still can't cut with my machine because I'm missing the blade part. The blade is sold separately from the holder, and I always tell you to use your white spatula that came with your machine. On the back of it, you'll have a little foamy bit, and you can always just take that, put that blade in there, pop it out, and that way you're not touching the sharp part of that blade. You're only touching this part to throw it away. And then pop your new blade in there, just same concept. Use that to push it on in there, and then just screw the bottom part back on. When you are buying your new blades, remember the holder that came with your machine had a blade in it. The holder you buy separately does not. You have to buy those two separate. If your holder is fine, then you're good to go, and you can just buy a new blade to pop it in there like I just showed you. So that is a mistake that I made accidentally. Got home with my holder, no blade inside, and that was very annoying. So that is something I wish someone would have told me at the beginning of all this. So I hope you guys enjoyed these, some mistakes that I hope you guys avoid with your Brother ScanNCut. And don't forget that ScanNCut is available on our website, allbrands.com, and many other items. And thank you again if you do purchase from us. We truly, truly appreciate that. And it allows me to make more content for you guys. So thank you so much for everyone that's purchased through Allbrands. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed some of these mistakes that I hope you avoid with your Brother ScanNCut. Don't forget to subscribe. We are so close to 12,000. When we do hit 12,000, we will be doing a live video, a live question and answer video. Speaking of live, if you are in the live chat premiere every Saturday at 7, I am in the chat for the first time the video runs, just saying hey to you guys and talking to you. So hi to everyone in the live chat. All right, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. It's the easiest way to let us know that you want more of these videos. Y'all have a good night. Bye.